This is episode 250 of the Gold Squadron podcast. I'm your host, Dion Morales, and today I'm joined by Marcel. Give me the rules now, Manzano.
You took a second. You cut out the first part. Conveniently.
I did.
Okay. There was more to that, people. There was more to that.
Will, the notorious Grogu Hegwood.
How's it going, everybody?
Ryan, belt power is pretty strong. Staniszewski.
Can confirm. I finally got my Gold Squadron Championship of 2021 belt given to me by Dion at Crossroads. Served me very well. I was very happy.
Well, as for announcements and news, we've been talking about it every week. You know that Adepticon is coming up, this premier level event, this official premier level event being put on by yours truly, Gold Squadron. Super excited here. That's happening the last weekend of March. If you haven't gotten your tickets, it's not too late. Go ahead, get signed up. And I know people like Marcel are super excited for it because he's ready for the new rules. And from what I've heard, like even the no joke. Over the weekend, I had a conversation with a person, and basically, like, even the head of the North American side of Asmodee is like, we need these rules, and it's stuck in Lucasfilm. They're like, let's go. Can we have our rules, please? So that was an interesting conversation I had this weekend. So soon, they're hoping for end of February. Let's hope that's the case. And this podcast brought to you by our Gold Squadron patrons. Becoming a patron is a way to become a part of our large group of supporters. And I'll tell you, we're doing some cool stuff at Adepticon. Today, I was able to order a bunch of new gear for some of the stuff that we're going to have happening at Adepticon. So should be super awesome. And I am waiting on a couple more rolls of stamps, and I will be done sending out the Pursuit Squadron. And this week, we are going to start voting on our next Patreon set, which is going to be the Resistance, the Heroic Squadron. Of course, had to call it the Heroic Squadron. Why wouldn't you? As Ryan Staniszewski looks at me with slightly shaking his head. I had to. The people have spoken, Ryan. I had to. All righty. Well, if you were watching this weekend, we actually had a pretty big audience. We had the Crossroads Classic over the weekend, and it was absolutely awesome. About 90 players showing up to Family Time Games in Indiana and putting on an awesome event. We used the black box rules, the same ones that were used at the Las Vegas Open. Basically, the second event, that large event that was using that rule set in preparation and waiting for the upcoming rule changes for 2.5. Essentially, in my mind, I've kind of called black box like 2.25. It's about, we're using most of the rules, but we don't have them all yet, and we will soon. We're gonna break down the top cut lists and all that, but I want to have a different conversation first, because I am super happy that we are getting back to playing in person and that we are having this opportunity to meet each other, to play games. And, Ryan and Will, you guys were in that room. There was a lot of excitement in that room, right? You could feel it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Especially even the organizers as well. They were super excited, even though they didn't get to play, to host it. And Crossroads is kind of a big banner for the indie guys. It's one of the longer running non-FFG organized events in the US. And they're always really excited to have everyone from all corners come from. I found out there's even a couple guys who drove up from Atlanta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly. Now, with these premier events starting to pop up more, we have next weekend the Cherokee Open, which my friend Stephen Parker has told me there's still tickets available for that. So if you're going to hang out there, head on over and get your tickets for the Cherokee Open. But I think it's important, especially because we've been in isolation for so long. Many people, we have a mix of people, players that haven't played in person in this type of competitive event ever, right? That's number one. We have players that have, and they're coming back. And I want to take an opportunity to reestablish what I would consider kind of community standards for making sure that everybody has a good time. A couple years ago, I made this video at Christmas time, 10 ways to have a horrible time playing X-Wing. And a lot of the things we're going to talk about is these things that, because of so having these social interactions, players may not be thinking about this stuff, and it's a way to make sure that making sure everybody is having a good time and being courteous to each other. And I want to start with what for me is probably the most annoying. And I know Will and I have had this conversation before, because we've had this experience in tournaments where I would say we're pretty fly casual, the four of us, where it's like, hey, oh, you forgot to do your action, just take a focus, not a big deal. We're okay with that. The issue sometimes comes in when a player, which this idea in and of itself isn't a bad thing, right? A player says, I would really like to play this as a tight game. Is it okay? We're going to call that a missed opportunity. And the opposing player absolutely has the right to do that. Not a problem. The issue comes in when a player turns around who says they want to play a tight game, and then they ask later on in the game for a takes backsies, a forgiveness, an oopsie. And it creates these really awkward situations where, I mean, Will, you've had this happen to you before.
Oh yeah, it's an awkward position to put your opponent in, because you've been, as someone playing against like that, you want to keep that rapport if it's been high, you know what I mean? And you want to keep it a nice and friendly game, but there's obviously letting someone get away with something when they're not going to let you get away with it just doesn't sit right with anybody.
Right. And when I'm walking around events and I'm hearing the players interact, these are some of the things that I end up seeing come up, and I want to talk about these type of etiquette things because I think it's important to put them out on the table for a couple of reasons. It's, hey, don't be a jerk. I could use stronger language, but it's just don't be that person that is actively putting out negativity. And I kind of want to talk about them and just be real and kind of let players know that these things do happen. Now, I will tell you, I would say 90%. I'll put that, and then I think that's low, of the players at Crossroads, at LVO, had a great time, really embody that idea of fly casual, and not necessarily in the style of play, but just let's have a good time. Right? But sometimes you'll come across people that give you some of these issues. And I want to kind of just put them out in the open. I want to air the laundry just so that, number one, you can be aware of it. But number two, for some of the more extreme cases, I think it's important to get a TO involved. Because especially with Adepticon coming around the corner, being a jerk to your opponent, actively, that's not going to fly. Me, as if I'm in charge, number one is you got to be respectful to your opponent, because now we're going to probably start talking about some of the more sticky issues as we get there. I know, Ryan, you had some things you wanted to bring up as well.
Yeah, so first of all, I'm going to make this like super clear. All of my opponents were awesome. So if I say anything, none of my opponents should be thinking, "Oh, was it me?" No, all my opponents were great. You guys were awesome. We'll get to even like specifically one of them later because it was a great story. Will and Dio know about it already. But I had noticed in games around me or games I was observing, there were times where some players, whether it be variants of dice on the actual attacks or defense, whether it's road that they think affected their whole turn, they got a little heated to the point where it felt uncomfortable, like cussing even. That should not fly. Like, that's unacceptable in my mind. If you can't handle dice rolls, I don't know, like, you need to check yourself, basically. There's definitely, because I know I remember all the good things that happened at Crossroads for sure. But I do know, and I know the X-Wing community knows this, what will stick in their minds are bad apples or bad feelings. They will remember that. They will remember the person. If you don't, like, you don't want to alienate the community or not make friends. This is a great ground for making friends within new groups within the community. Don't be a jerk. People will remember it.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And like one of the, walking by a table, let me tell you what prompted this, this conversation, why I wanted to bring it up, is walking by a table. I literally heard a player say to another, and this wasn't joking. It didn't seem to me like they were playing against a buddy or anything like that. Quote, "You're only winning because of the dice." End quote.
Yeah, any feelings like that, you're not going to make any friends, because you're telling your opponent it's not your skill at all or your strategy or your tactics that won any of this game. You are I can't think of the word, decrediting, or
you're demeaning, right?
Demeaning, for sure.
Invalidating the win.
That's it. Thank you. I couldn't think of the word.
So yeah, like this is something that I think to me that is definitely on the side of don't go there. If you're that person at Adepticon, you can just not come. I'm gonna just be out there. Just say it. You're just not welcome.
You're gonna give me a refund?
Sure.
No, and I'm.
It's not my money. It's not my money.
Yeah.
It's Adepticon's money. But I'll DQ somebody so quick. Oh, don't play with me.
Yeah. No, and I'm saying it in a half jest because I know that it depends on which day you catch me. I might be a little on the intense side. I try not to be rude, but some people perceive like intense as rude sometimes, because they're just trying to chill. Like you said, they're just trying to have a casual, chill game. And if somebody across from them is like, "No, I'm here with a purpose," versus other people that I'm here to have fun,
right?
And that can be perceived a certain kind of way. And what I'm gonna say about that is, if you know that you have that in you, and again, it's situational. If that's you every game, you shouldn't be playing. Like Ryan said, if that's you every game, you shouldn't be playing. But there are situations where things happen, and you get frustrated, right? If you know that you can be frustrated, or if you've gotten frustrated at league night or with other people, or even more so, if anybody has said something, listen to it, because they're not being jerks. They're just basically pointing a mirror at you. If you know you have that as an even possibility, be mindful of it and catch yourself, because that's something that over the years I've actively worked on. It's like, you know what, that probably didn't come across right, and make sure to go and address it right away, and make sure that there's no hard feelings. Make sure that there's like, hey, you know what, and if you can catch that even before the game ends, even better. Like, hey, you know what, 3 turns ago, you know, this and this and this and this, you know, I want to apologize for that. You know, let's have some fun, and, you know, sorry, just own it, right?
Yeah.
And again, it doesn't happen often. I mean, I've played with you guys a million times, and you've seen me play on stream and with other people. It doesn't happen often, but it sometimes you get into it, and it happens, and it just comes out. It's emotional. When you care about something, there's going to be invested emotion into it, and different people manage that and express that in a different way. So just be self-aware of how you express it, and get ahead of it. Like, if you know that that's possible, or if you walk away and like three rounds later it comes to you like, wait, that probably, you know, 3 turns ago or 3 games ago, you know, like if it's sitting there, like, just play on the safe side, walk over there, find the person, and make it right. You know, none of us are perfect, but it's our ability to be able to recognize that we're not, and correct it before time goes off. And it's not to make yourself look good. Don't correct it to, you know, don't correct it for that reason. Correct it because it's the right thing to do. Correct it because you're trying to improve yourself. You're trying to be a better person. You're trying to be a better opponent, and ultimately you're trying to be a better player. Because if you cannot recognize that within yourself, and you're that person that says, oh, you only beat me because of the dice, then you're never going to get better. You know, like you're never going to recognize your own mistakes. You're never going to recognize your own opportunities that you missed, and you're just going to dwell on all the bad luck that you had. So you got to be able to recognize that. And again, just it's kind of just, you know, self-improvement. Just work on yourself. Always work on yourself, because again, you know, we care about the game, and we care about doing well. So, you know, and when you do that, sometimes you're hyper focused, and you get like a tunnel vision, right?
Right.
So,
exactly.
yeah,
For sure.
Yeah, I would add on to that it's okay to like discuss the dice and be like, whoa, that like quadruple blanks into 3 blanks, like that's unfortunate. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to like hold back your emotions. You just need to not direct them towards your opponent, right? You could definitely be upset that you blanked out on defense when, you know, you had focus evade or something, but you just can't take that out on your opponent, right? It is a difficult thing to keep in check for a lot of people, but I think all of us here have played enough games to where like, oh yeah, 5 blanks, yeah, great, advanced proton torpedo here. Like, it's just like funny now to me. Like, of course my student tier would roll 5 blanks, range 3 obstructed, like when I took a focus. You know what I mean? Like, you just have to laugh at that stuff. It's not something that you should get upset about your opponent for, right? So it's, like I said, feel free to be, you know, obviously be emotional. It's an intense game. Just don't direct that at your opponent to make them feel bad, right? To have that negative play experience, because it can ruin not even just people's like days, but like their whole tournaments, like even their X-Wing careers. People have left X-Wing because they've just kept having bad experiences at tournaments.
Yep. And there's also been people who have been removed from the community in the sense of people just never wanted to play with them anymore because they were that person all the time. And their community just eventually, like, we gave you a chance, and eventually we wash our hands. You know, Marcel, what were you gonna say?
I think.
Oh, sorry,
Go ahead,
Brian.
Marcel, then.
No, I was just gonna echo what Will was saying. Like, think about the impact it has on the other person, and again, when you have tunnel vision, it's hard to do, but think about it. Again, not to put anybody on blast or anything like that. It's not about something, but when we went to LVO, we traveled. It was the first time we played in a few years.
Mm-hmm.
Kayla quit her game halfway through the match with like 2 games left, because she just had one of those experiences where you again, now let's play a fair game, let's play a tight game. Okay, you're not going to be able to get this, and then it's not reciprocal, and she just had a bad experience of it. She's like, nah, it's not worth me getting upset about it. So she went and she basically picked up her toy, said, hey, I'm done for the day. And it has an impact, right? So
Yeah, that's never a position you want to put somebody into. That's like the sad table flip too, because it's like you're not even angry. You know what I mean? Like,
no, you're just like, I'm not enjoying it. I'm not having fun.
Right.
And let me go lose some money on. What was it? No, blackjack. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, like Will said, it's not like we're asking people to be emotionless.
Right.
Even if you catch yourself in a situation where you had an accidental outburst and you believe that is something that your opponent feel like it was directed towards them, if you explain to them actual regret and remorse for doing that, I'm pretty sure they'll understand. Like, we're talking here about the people who you can tell don't really have regrets or remorse about this, right? I bet any one of us can think of a time where we had just, whether it was vocal, body language, something that was just a little bit seemingly directed at the opponent, or something that you did that probably made him feel a little uncomfortable. And as long as you can convey remorse and regret and say sorry about it, realistically, like right after you do it, don't wait till like after the game, after you've constantly, like if you constantly have been angry, because then I don't know if that really feels like you were sorry about it, to be honest.
Right. Yep, I agree. So I just wanted to touch on that as we get more in-person games. And again, it's a small percentage, very low percentage, but can have a high impact. Can have a high impact. So we want to make sure that we call out the behavior now, just to know, like, I'm gonna go ahead and put us on a pedestal as community leaders. Okay. I think we should have high expectations of our players. So that's where I'll put that at. And now we'll get into what people really want. They want us to break down lists, talk about metas and combo wombos, and why is it that Indiana apparently loves lats? Because was like half the field Republic? It was ridiculous. What is happening? Why do we have so much lat? And even the winning list had a lat in it. This is ridiculous. Let's go ahead and...
I know 2 of the Michigan guys that I came over with had Republic lists with lats. I don't know.
Too much lat. Stop it.
The Midwest lats.
So much. It was ridiculous. So we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna break down these lists for you guys. We'll go ahead and we'll hit that top 8. Top 8, I think, is a good number for all this. Dio needs a Windows update. One second.
Maybe one honorable 16. One honorable mention of the top 16, if you would like.
Sorry.
Spoiler, I guess.
Why we got Filippo on the screen?
Oh, what?
All right, break it down. Filippo.
Filippo, hit it. Yes. All right, we'll try that. We'll try that again. Sorry, that was from I hit the wrong button. All right, well, here we go. Let's go ahead and we'll start from the top, like we've been doing here with our winner. Let's try to make this a little prettier so it all fits on one screen. There you go. Hit it, Ryan.
All right, our winner of the event, Andrew Lopez, running Warthog with Ghost Company, Fives, and Commander Cody. We'll go into that sort of interaction in a sec. 2 104th Battalion ARC 170s, and 2 Loyalist Volunteer V-Wings just with ESC. Opting for just, I mean, that's what could fit. I assume if you wanted bombs, he would take them, but he valued the sort of upgrade combination he put on Warthog. We'll start with Fives for people who may not remember. After you perform an attack that missed, if the defender's initiative is equal or greater than your initiative, place 1 evade or focus token on this card. Before you engage, you may remove 1 token from this card to gain the matching token. So Warthog being I3, a lot of stuff being higher initiative, pretty likely to happen. But it's even more likely to happen when you have the upgrade Ghost Company. It's a card that adds Rotate Link to Focus. After you perform a primary attack, if you are focused, you may perform a turret attack against a ship you have not attacked this round as a bonus. So you can attack twice. Fives could trigger more with the misses. And then to top it all off, you have the Commander Cody Gunner, which means after you perform an attack that missed, if you have 1 or more hit or crit results that were neutralized, the defender gains 1 strain token. So Warthog shoots before the entire list, could potentially do a couple more damage to 2 ships, or dole out a couple strain. So there's something for the rest of the list to follow up on, whether it's a couple plink damage to see if it can focus fire something down, or more than likely Warthog misses some stuff but gives out some strain, which minus agility can be pretty well effective when targeted correctly. It is a thick Warthog though at 64 points. I didn't get to see many of Andrew's games, or I wasn't able to watch the stream as I was driving home. But Dion, when you saw him, or Will, when you were commentating as well, was he pretty careful keeping it on the edges a bit more, just kind of firing from afar?
No.
Okay.
YOLO, baby.
He flew it just. He flew it front to back, right with the arcs, as if it was an arc itself, and just followed the arcs into the joust. The V-Wings had a little bit more play. They're obviously a lot more maneuverable than the arcs, and especially at the land. So they would try to find a lane and come in at the same time to attack whatever the arcs were jousting, preferably. Sometimes they would not arrive at the same time and get picked off. We saw that, I think, in one of the games. Or no, you know what? No, I take that back. It traded very well with Vader. In fact, it did survive. I'm pretty sure. But it had the opportunity to be picked off. So, but that's what I kept saying. I was like, oh man, I'm expecting this thing to come in, find some range 1 double taps, right? Roll 3 and 3 against a couple ships and start helping out on offense. And it never. It was never, while it jousted, it
fell
just
behind.
kept going.
Yeah.
It kept going. It didn't try to stay in the scrum. I wanted to find a safe place. Like Andrew obviously knew that it was an essential piece of his list.
Yeah, you could tell the prioritization of the fire conversions was very, very well utilized. Very well. I mean, if I'm remembering these games the most, it's really like the ARC 170s carried. I felt both games that we had them on stream. They really were the ones that carried the most of the
range 1, clearing the way.
Yeah, generally in a list like this, even though Warthog is more expensive as a priority target, I want to get those arcs off the board, get those 3-die guns off, get the space covering that they have with medium bases. Even though this Warthog, so comparing points wise, because I was like, all right, what's this in comparison to a 7th Fleet Gunner Warthog? So you see that a lot more.
It's 64 points. Andrews is at 64 points.
Yep. And then if you do just 7th Fleet Gunner, which a lot of people have done in the past, it's 60. So you're spending 4 more. Basically, Ghost Company in 5s is the same cost as 7th Fleet Gunner. So opting into the 2 extra shots applied from the lat instead of getting rid of a shot from the lat in some cases to provide an extra dice to another ship. Obviously, the Ghost Company and 5's interaction works extremely well with Cody.
I was going to say, I feel like the thought process might be that 1 or even 2 strain is equal to or better than an extra dice on attack.
Oh, it definitely could be. I've always kind of been on the adage of it's better to modify your attack dice than negatively modify your opponent's defense dice. But this is like completely adding or removing dice, right? So they both seemingly have a similar effect, especially since it's still only on 1 attack per with the strain and the 7th Fleet. So it's very interesting for sure.
All right. Then we move to who I think was the maddest lad of the weekend. He's my hero, champion in my heart, Phil Knuth. Now, you see Anakin Skywalker, most people immediately think, oh, and that's going to be Ada, Annie, or Delta. No. You don't understand. This was Y-Wing Anakin Skywalker in that BTL-B Y-Wing out there just shoving proton torpedoes into people's faces. And he had 4 of these Y-Wings out there. They were a little asymmetrical. We'll go ahead and have Will break it down. But, man, woo. Y-Wing? What?
Yeah, Phil, an example of patient play, waited in many of his games very intently to make sure that that engagement he would guarantee his proton torpedoes onto a target. So, and I think a lot of people were like, like in Swiss, you know what I mean? The early rounds of Swiss, you're like, 4 Y-Wings, cute. But when you're in the cut and you're like, ooh, you're winning with that?
Yeah.
You've been doing really good with that? Ooh, I might be in some trouble. So let's break down the list here. You said Anakin Skywalker, proton torpedoes. I will say that all of these ships have dorsal turrets as well and synchronized console, which is very important to move the locks around to make sure that if a ship had a bump or wasn't in range, could be able to shoot those torpedoes. All you have to do is just not spend your lock when you attack, and then you could spend it after attacking to give it to a friendly. In addition, there is one, most of them are rocking proton torpedoes, but one of them is rocking an advanced proton torpedo, and all but one are utilizing the R4P astromech as well. R4P astromech lets you decrease the difficulty of a basic maneuver. So for these Y-Wings, it's going to be that 4 forward and hard 3 turned to white, but also being able to clear stress on anything from 3 bank to hard 2 to the 1 bank that unfortunately that old school Y-Wing does not have as blue standardized. So a lot of our coverage, some beefy health, that plated hull, man. I could imagine the frustration of opponents just seeing that crit turned to a hit every time they attack these guys. And I'm excited to put Anakin Y-Wing back on the board. This has revitalized my ambition for that pilot to see what I could do with it. Maybe not 4 other Y-Wings, but obviously Phil pulled it off here, got into the finals with it.
Yeah, it's, you know, we've been dogging, like I will tell you, he told us, I brought it because y'all said it was bad. Literally just said it. And he told me he wanted me to say the name of the list on the podcast. I'm going to go ahead and do that for you, Phil. He said, why not? It was the name of the squad and his squad builder. So congratulations, Phil, making it all the way to that runner-up with a piece that, honestly, going into this tournament, not a single person would have called it, except for you, my friend. All right, Marcel, why don't you go ahead and take a look at this one. This one's a little bit more up your alley, a little bit more your style in one of our top 4 competitors, Paul Adler.
Yeah, I did not get to see. I don't know if we had him on stream. I did not get to see any games. I only caught
we did have
kills
him,
and
I think,
bits.
one time.
Okay. Yeah, I only caught like kills and bits of a couple games. And even the final, I only saw like pieces of it. But yeah, I love this list. It's Anakin Skywalker in the Edda with Extreme Maneuvers and Predator, Obi-Wan in the Edda with Predator, Shakti with Predator, and then my favorite part of this list is Elberger. So Danae Ellerby with passive sensors, R2C4, which is the one that you could turn and evade into a hit, basically. Is it a focus into a hit?
Yeah, it modifies a single focus to a hit. So
it's basically like a calculator of force.
Exactly.
And then
It's a pretty good passive sensors combo for sure.
Yeah, because I love Anakin because I can move, have an evade, have the force as that modifier, and then take your target lock action. So this is kind of bypassing that. You lose a little bit of defensive ability because you're using it offensively.
If only there was a way for someone to hold on to your tokens for you.
If only there were. But I would think that I didn't see it. I would think that Danae would probably be the least one to.
She's the bait. She's the tank.
Yeah, like I would think that one would be the least likely to be the one, the recipient of that. Hold on to it. But yeah, it's great. And Danae's ability is really good because it's basically 1.0. It can be 1.0. What did they call? What did they used to call midnight before? Omega Leader.
Omega Leader.
No, Omega Leader. Like the Fly Better guys had like this.
Yeah, no,
like
that's
lockdown.
Omega Leader.
Lockdown.
There you go. It's basically like 1.0
yeah.
lockdown. Yeah. Where
the actual name was Omega Leader for any of for the historians out there. Lockdown was the given name.
It works really well. Like I like the name with Rick because you set them both to 3 and you kind of make a conundrum with like, oh, you're either gonna go the same speed or faster or slower, and it just makes a lot of choices. And then the Nay, again, just being able to throw in some ion torpedoes, guarantee the force modifier or the soft focus, and again with three agility ships that can potentially be double modded on their defense every time and double modded on their offense every time. Just really good list. I would have liked to seen it in action some more because it looks fun.
For a little bit of added bonus transparency on top of it, I think someone who either talked to Paul or maybe it was actually Paul himself in a Discord had mentioned Danae with this combination of ion torps and obviously modding it with passive, having the lock with passive, modding it extra with R2C4 was actually very highly designed to help against Defender Vader. Because generally, he's doing or wants to do 3s or 4s. Good Defender players will know to use that one bank when they need to. But especially since N1's like going 3 or 4 for their full throttle as well, basically daring Vader to be in that arc at all, or otherwise he's probably going to get ioned. He doesn't want to be ioned.
I like it. So there you go. Congratulations, Paul Adler, getting all the way to the top 4. And he lost the top 4 match to Phil Knuth by 2 points was the margin there. And what ended up happening was just Phil kind of called the positioning, and Paul was not able to put the nail into a half-point Y-wing, and that was it. All right, let's keep it moving here. We got Marcos Leggett, who brought Imperials. We had Darth Vader with afterburners. Let's go ahead and get that droid off the screen. We don't need you anymore. Darth Vader with afterburners. That is the TIE X1 Vader with Sunterfell, and who has Predator. And then we had 3 TIE fighters as well. We had Wampa and 2 Academy pilots. We did see Marcos play on stream. I believe he lost. I forget. I know that he lost on stream in the cut. I just forget which. I think it may have been against Phil.
It was Andrew Lopez.
It was against. Sorry, it was against Andrew Lopez.
It was against the eventual winner.
Yeah. So a tough loss there, but a really cool list. Being able to have Darth Vader and Soontir harassing most of the time. Those are the targets you're going to want to take care of. So that gives Wampa the opportunity to do what he has to do. Of course, though, spending those points for Wampa does leave it. You could have maybe put those points somewhere else on Darth Vader or Sunterfell, but Wampa obviously did some work, got all the way to the top 4. And Marcos, great to see you again, my friend. We actually had a pretty intense battle a few years back at the Pandemonium Games Regional, where I got like super sick at like towards in that tournament. And it was like the last game. It was kind of like Marco Jordan fever game type of thing going on. And we final salvoed 3 times in a row. I lost, but was one for the history books. It was a good one. Let's keep it going here, Ryan, with Mark Worrell in the top 8.
Running First Order with Kylo Ren, Extreme Maneuvers, Sensor Scramblers, and Ion Torpedoes. Then you have Major Vonreg with Daredevil and Proton Rockets. And then Breach with Advanced Proton Torpedoes, Connor Nets, and Electro Proton Bomb. This might be one of the highest placings of Electro Proton Bomb I've seen. Am I missing any GSP Online Galaxies event or anything? Because this definitely feels like the highest.
I think the Vader Death Rain only got to top 16, if I remember. I don't think it got into the top 8.
Yeah. Breach is with that system phase boost for before dropping the bomb. And being at I-5 has a lot of good ways to make sure that he's getting into prime position to utilize an Electro Proton Bomb. In combination with the Ion Torpedoes with Kylo, could have a couple turns in a row dealing with being ioned. If he got the Ion Torp on something after already dropping it, then they just float right into another Electro Proton Bomb. Would feel pretty bad for any ship. He was one of the 2 5-0s in the event. I
wonder who the other one was.
He's very, very experienced running Kylo Ren for sure. Sensor Scramblers is potentially way too cheap for 1 point, to be honest, for silencers. It's a really good ability to decloak, move Kylo in the system phase like that, on top of just not allowing other ships to target lock them. But between the proton rockets and advanced proton torpedoes, help from Kylo's help with the ion torpedoes setup for either of those two, some good spike damage to make sure Kylo Ren gets to the end game with extreme maneuvers, which is really hard to pin down or evade.
Yeah, well, Mark actually had sent me some information saying that he couldn't get onto the recording tonight into the chat, but wanted to share some thoughts they had with it. Originally started as what?
Yeah, I said, hit us, give it to us.
Oh yeah. Well, you just wanted to. I can't cover it all. What he said, very in depth, but I originally started as Nick Tobin's Pastimes Store Championship list, or he was a runner-up, but he played in the championship. But then quickly converted. I think he had Quick Draw in Nick's. But he quickly moved over to Von Reg and really liked that proton rocket, that super spike damage, and also the speed in comparison to Quick Draw. The other main thing he was talking about is that while the Electro Proton Bomb may not have been effective in its ability to hit enemy ships, but just the threat of it constantly terrified a lot of opponents. The round that he drops it, either in the center-ish of the board, would send formations like scattering, right? And now we'd be able to use that opportunity to pick them off with Kylo or the Major Von Reg. So really interesting tactic there, as using it more of an area denial and a way to herd ships. We saw it in his game, utilizing it to herd all of the opponents away from Kylo and into a very specific corner of the board. Unfortunately, that corner of the board also had a Von Reg in it, so you'll have to check out that game to see how it goes for Von Reg. But that is, like I said, he after putting it on the board a couple of times, he said the Electro Proton Bomb was a must-have in this kind of black box format. Nobody else can really utilize it, right? There's no real trajectory or NIM kind of ships like that. So the boosting is as close as you can to it. So it seemed to be that it did all the things that he had designed the list to do throughout the weekend.
Awesome. All right. And we actually got a message here from Phil Knuth. He's in the chat. I want to go ahead and just read his post out loud. I think it's important here. So he says, "This is Phil Knuth." He said, "It's been a difficult year for me with one of my daughters having stage 4 cancer. It was great to be able to get away for a weekend and do better, even better than I thought I would. A big part of the excitement for the event was brought to you by you guys. I was nervous to be on stream. Hands were shaky, but it was really fun. As a new guy to X-Wing, I really appreciate what you guys are doing. Thanks for your part in this great weekend." You're welcome. You're welcome, Phil. Glad we could help you have a good time. And that's what it matters. That's what matters for us. So awesome. All righty. Let's keep the train going here. Look, Marcel, it's your favorite ship, Wedge.
Yay, Wedge. So we've got Matt Zimmer, Schmidt, with just Wedge by himself. Then he's got Ahsoka with brilliant evasion and ion missiles, K2SO in the U-wing, and Kyle Katarn with Moldy Crow. I gotta be honest, this is a weird one for me. Like I'm trying to find the
it's like Hera Tani, but your A-Wing's just so much better than Hera, right?
Yeah, yeah, because I mean there's no Jyn Erso, and so K2SO is coordinating, and when he coordinates, because it's a red, he gives himself a calculate, so he's kind of coordinating and giving himself something. Obviously, it did well. It won 4 games during Swiss, and it got to top 8. It's got all good pieces. I'm not even going to say they don't synchronize well, because they do, because you've got 3 different ways of either sharing a token or passing a token later on. So it's very well supported. It's I've got no. I mean, the only thing that it's missing is an evade token, I guess. But outside of missing that evade token, I mean, it's got everything else that you probably want. And to your point, Ahsoka, especially with those ion missiles, hits so much harder than Hera will. And it's going to contribute more than Hera will, because it's coordinating Wedge. Probably Wedge is target lock focused every single turn. Potentially even target lock double focused every turn. It's just a super cool list. It's a super cool list, but it's also, again, I'm trying to figure out. I think it's more versatile than the Heratani, because it doesn't have to fly in formation, because the coordinates have the coordinates give you better range than the other things, and so do the abilities that these ships have. So there's a lot of range. So they don't have to fly in a block. You can even spread them out a bit and still pass off tokens and pass off actions and do that kind of stuff. So yeah, nice list. Do you guys know what obstacles he brought? Just out of curiosity, was it the smallest rocks?
I do not know off the top of my head.
We can check TTT, I think, unless they unlocked the lists.
Yeah, I would imagine probably the smallest rocks. But anyway, it's an interesting list.
Maybe
I like
debris
it.
because of K2SO and Soka being able to coordinate stressed ships.
He brought the biggest rocks, all
There
three.
you go. There you go.
Oh, yeah.
The real man here.
Oh yeah. Like,
Big rocks to go
I
home,
know.
guys.
yeah. Nice. Well done. I was gonna say something, but then I remembered this is. I was gonna say.
Cool. Well done. Alrighty. So let's keep things rolling here. Will, we got Zach Zagidi, who
Wait, did I call it Haratani?
you did.
Oh, Paratani.
No, I think I referenced it to Haratani.
Okay.
As a note, Haratani is Hera with Garvin and somebody who can somebody who can get Hera more tokens than she would normally have, and preferably Jyn Erso in your list. So
and the reason if Dak 1971 is asking why Tani is because 1.0 of Tani Mind Link used to pass tokens to everybody.
Oh yeah,
That's
yeah,
why Tani.
yeah. Why do we call it?
Yeah, that's it's an old reference. It's
Yeah.
that shows
That's a
our
deep
age
cut.
in X-wing. Oh, these whippersnappers don't know they haven't been through that.
Back in
All
my
that
day,
token
we used
singing.
to link our minds together and share focuses and stress.
What if I told you there was a ship that could focus no matter how many tokens it had, and when it did, everybody else got one as well. And then it could reuse it over and over and over again. That's okay. We're safe now. We're safe now. I promise you, I never flew it.
It can also shoot you anywhere range 3. Look out for it.
True. Yeah, I forget. Yeah, not even that too. All right, go ahead. Hit Zach Regidi, who brought. He was a mad lad. Got some M3A action. Hit it, Will.
All right, Zach here. I love to see that GSID on there as well. Shout out to all the online players who were playing in the event as well. So this starts off with Kanan Jarrus in the Moldy Crow in the Hawk. Kanan Jarrus can spend his force to reduce the amount of attack dice the attacker would make against a friendly ship in your mobile arc. So that can shut down a powerful attack once per round from your enemy. Normally in this list, I'll get to the reason why, but normally in this list, it would be whoever is able to throw the 4th dice in their attack. The reason for it is because all of these, the remaining list is 4 M3As. Leading the pack here is Sarah Sue. Sarah Sue is the I5 who can give friendly ships at range 0 to 1 a defensive reroll. Very important for the remaining Tassari Point veterans because they are a 3 agility ship. Then 2. So you essentially get 4 agility M3As here. Each one of those Tassari Point veterans for offense is equipped with the Auto Blaster Cannon and Marksmanship, getting up to 4 dice, range 1 bullseye. And if you are not in that ship's front arc, all crits cannot be canceled. So what this creates is this kind of tight block of high agility, high defensive ships that can come in and punch extremely hard as well. You got the 3 dice out the front from Moldy Crow. And then as I said, those range 1 bullseye auto blasters can throw 4 dice then too. So it can mod its dice very well, especially on defense there with that Sarasu. And the game, I think we caught it on stream as well, and just seeing that power of Kanan Jarrus plus Sarasu making these
Plus
injuries.
3 agility.
Yeah, that's really the trick too, because like you might think like, oh well, we'll just all go in, on Kanan Jarrus, right? Round 1, he can't stop all of our attacks. But he's normally going to be in the back because it's the same initiative as the Terrasari points. But he's going to get that essential Sarasu defense too. So he could use those build-up focus tokens and even his force then defensively on himself. It becomes very powerful. Now you do need to fly it right. You do need to line up, the auto blasters on the M3As who aren't known for their maneuverability. But Zach flew it very well, getting a bunch of wins with it.
All right. Next, we had Michael Peterson. Michael Peterson flew first order here as our last top 8 competitor. We had Kylo Ren with extreme maneuvers, Grudge with ion torpedoes, bomblet generator. We had a first order and 2 first order cadets who were symmetrical with ion torpedoes and bomblet generator. We never had Michael Peterson on stream, but I did see him with his triple FO bombers, and it's interesting to see bomblet generator out there. It's not a piece that we see too much. I think mostly is it the cost? Is that the reason why you think that was brought? I mean, bomblet generators are pretty cheap right now, if I'm not mistaken.
2-point bomb, cheapest bomb you can get.
Yep, 2 points and works well with Grudge's ability.
For the rerolls. Yep, there it is. And I mean, extreme maneuver Kylo Ren is pretty much self-explanatory. He moves real good and can be almost wherever you want it to be. So congratulations there, Mike Peterson. And then we're gonna hit one person in the top 16. He did okay, I guess. Ryan Staniszewski, go ahead, talk about your list here. You were the top seed after Swiss, but unfortunately fell in the top 16.
Curse of the 5-0 Swiss. So this kind of wraps into actually who we just talked about, because I also ran Kylo and 3FO bombers. I ran a different loadout though. I had sensor scramblers and sensitive controls Kylo. So pretty much in whatever first engagement I decided to decloak, I can just kind of pick up Kylo and put him pseudo wherever I wanted, because I could boost or barrel roll and then decloak, or decloak then boost or barrel roll and then do my maneuver. Very, very hard to predict where my Kylo is going to be, and I can get in places that not many other ships can. And then I have Grudge with just bomblet generator, and then I have 2 of the I-2 bombers, the Sinar Jameis test pilots, both with electro chaff clouds, proximity mines, and the automated target priority. Those are the last 2 points I had. And actually, automated target priority wasn't too much of a detriment to me and was pretty much always a bonus for my ships. As what I think Will's terminology for the system phase proximine drop, the Ankylosaurus. Is that right?
Ankylosaurus assault.
Yeah.
Slap.
It's extremely dangerous. And the chaff clouds are actually probably the upgrade that helps keep these ships alive in the initial approach the most, because it basically neuters any offense and stops opponents from doing repositioning actions if they go through it before I'm about to approach with those prox mines. So they're just kind of, once they go through the chaff clouds, they can't do any actions. They're just kind of stuck where they are. And then I can plan next turn how I want to attack them with the prox mines or bombs, or even Kylo himself. My only loss eventually came to the mirror match. I faced Michael Peterson. When your endgame piece is Kylo Ren versus Kylo Ren, and even though I can do good things with sensitive controls, extreme maneuvers, Kylo is really hard to get away from and try and pin down as well. And because he had the I3 FO bombers with ion torps. He was able to move after me and be able to inflict ion torps, which stopped me from doing my system phase boosts and then dropping bombs. I talked a little bit with him afterwards. My approach probably I predicted wrong on where I thought Kylo was going to stay safe. He actually kind of got aggressive into the middle of the board, and I didn't have a good way to get back at a sort of a face-to-face encounter. He correctly turned away and caught me in a few spots where I was essentially chasing him and had to break off. Otherwise, if I kept chasing, I would just kept eating bombs. So he actually got very unfavorable grudge rolls in the beginning, which kept me a little bit more in the game, able to break off and try and re-engage back in. So probably could have beat me a little more than the final result actually was. But what was the coolest part was that the day before, his wife and his son were actually at the store. And I got, after my stream game with Nick Sperry, for people who don't know, as soon as Dion found out that me and Nicholas Sperry were matched up, he was like, oh no, GSP cannibalizing each other. I want to see it on stream. It was funny how quickly you got excited, how like sad you were for us, but then got really excited to like put it on stream like right away.
Aw, yay.
But after that game, his Michael Peterson's wife and son were there, kind of playing another game, and she recognized me. She was like, "Oh yeah, the belt looks like so cool," because I was wearing the GSP Showdown belt, and she wanted a picture. And then realizing like, "Oh yeah, the GSP guys," I like flagged Will and Dion over, talked with his son Nathan a little bit, who said, "Oh yeah, my favorite ship right now is Kylo Ren. That's what my dad's flying." And he looks in my like tray with the 3 FO bombers. He's flying with those ships too. So come to be the next day, I get faced up with him in the top cut, and he beats me. So I think it's kind of cool. He gets to go tell his son he beat Ryan or whatever from Gold Squadron, and Nathan can be like, "Yeah, my dad's the better Kylo player," and he sure was that day for sure, no doubt. So it was a really cool interaction. I think it was the first time in a long time, if at all, or at least the first time within GSP that it was the whole like picture fan cool interaction thing. I know Will, Dion, if you've had that in a while.
I mean, now that we're back, it's the first time in a long time. I made fun. I was like, "Oh, Marcel missed out. There's a cat. Get that cat out of here. What is happening?"
I kept balancing on a monitor or laptop.
I could see Kayla behind.
Oh, is Kayla's messing around?
Yeah,
of course, Kayla's messing around. I'm like, what is happening right now? All right. Well, there you go. That's our top cut breakdown there for Crossroads. But before we leave you, if you didn't see, there was a couple of new cards that got revealed. If you hadn't heard, the Razor Crest has been found in the wild. The AMG release, even though on their website it says it's not coming out until April. Apparently, in Europe specifically, they have been released, and I even have one coming my way so that we can play with it a little bit. So in that, somebody got it in their hands. They opened up the box and said, "La-di-da, we got a couple of cards here we got to talk about." We'll probably start by talking about Notorious first, because I think that will be the shorter conversation, followed by Enduring. So let's go ahead. Let's bring it up on the screen here. Here is Notorious. It is a talent. It is unique. You must have an illicit equipped in order to have this equipped to your ship. So 2 charges that are recurring, 1 per turn. After you defend, if the attacker is in your firing arc, you may spend 1 charge. If you do, the attacker gains a strain token. While you perform an attack, if the defender is strained, you may reroll 1 blank result. Pretty strong synergy. I mean, that just seems like a good card. There's no downside, right?
I feel like, well, I mean, he had to be shot at, right?
I mean, it's gonna happen anyway.
Dengar says, "Shoot me, I dare you."
Yeah. It definitely benefits the lower initiative you are, because more people will attack you before and then be strained to give you a primary, or excuse me, a reroll on offense. But yeah, things like Zam, Dengar, things like
Bosk.
obviously Bosk, yeah.
Oh, boss.
Bosk loves his rerolls. And this is another way to, like Zam, where you're kind of pushing aggro off of you, right? Where it's like you're making people second guess, should I shoot that ship?
Yep.
I mean, you can even put it on like a blocking Z95 with some, ion
dead man
missiles or
switch?
something like that. Yeah, dead man switch and ion missiles. I mean, it's you want to give that. You're not going to shoot it, so it's basically going to be able to do what it wants. Is that what initiative 3? Yeah, I mean it's
the Black Sun Soldier. Mm-hmm.
All right, so that one's pretty simple. The one that I remember we were at dinner, and Ryan said, you need to read this. And I had a physical reaction when I read this. Go ahead, Ryan. Enduring.
Well, let's first start out with the first physical reaction you had. It's a talent anyone could use. So introducing
Do you
this
want
into
it?
the wild
You can have
is
it.
a big deal. This goes on many
pip.
possible ships. No pip. As many as you want. Any faction. You have a talent slot, you can have it. While you defend, if you are not in the attacker's bullseye, crit results are neutralized before hit results.
Everybody's
So if you have
Zeb.
Everyone is Zeb, right? After you suffer crit damage, you may perform a calculate or focus action on your action bar, even while stressed, treating that as red. So if you are already stressed, you're going to get more stress if you suffer a crit. It's weird with this card because when we talked about it, any card that's like potentially really good is even like much better on Bosk, is what Will said to me at dinner. And this one's kind of both a buff and a nerf. So anytime Bosk shoots at someone who's enduring, Bosk feels pretty bad, but Bosk might want enduring on himself just for people who might shoot before him with Greedo. Because then his reinforce will get rid of crits before hits.
There it is. So yeah, this is I mean, I'm getting to guess by the way that this card feels that it's gonna come in at like a solid 1 point. So I think so. I'm serious. I listen. The way throw out the way that we've seen these effects, man.
Yeah. Well, you're basing it off of that it's a single copy in a $40 expansion.
Exactly. It's a single copy.
Yeah, that's too, by the way.
Yeah, you get one of these in a single Razor Crest. So if you need them for more than one ship, your options are buy multiple Razor Crests. AMG likes that. Or use a proxy if you're at a league night. Enduring alt arts coming soon.
You need a lot of those potentially.
Yeah. So yeah, a couple of new cards. We'll see how they end up shaking out. But yeah, that seems super good. Somebody says card pack ? I don't think this card was in the It wasn't listed on the Mandalorian one.
Nope.
This is Mando only.
The Mandalorian pack covered basically last year's new cards, not upcoming cards.
Yeah. So there you go. Enduring. That's going to be on the table a lot. Well, my friends, this has been the 250th episode of us talking together. I know that you all haven't been with me since the beginning, but it's good to have you here now, and I wouldn't have it any other way. So, we have Adepticon coming soon. We have points. Okay, check this out, guys. You know that, AMG was like end of February. So there is a possibility that the next time we talk, we have the new points. We have the new rules. We have all the new objectives. Everything is released. Lucasfilm has come down from the heavens and handed it to us. Ooh, it's gonna be crazy. And
I'd
this
be
week,
disappointed if we didn't get it by next cast. That's the
I'm
last
disappointed
day of
we didn't get
February.
it today.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it.
I
It's
was
okay.
expecting between tomorrow and Thursday, because if at least the Pride of Mandalore card pack is supposed to come out this Friday in the US, we would need points for it.
Yeah. I mean, fingers crossed for Wednesday's Star Wars stream, right? On AMG's Twitch. Fingers crossed on that. Dion, before we go, though, I do have one thing I wanted to get out to the community.
Hit it.
I want a special thanks to a band called the Mammiltons, who graciously blessed me with one of their albums I'm using for the YouTube videos. But if you would like to contribute, if you're like, well, I think my song's a little bit better than those, I want to hear your band on the YouTube channels, get in touch with us. I would love to hear what you got.
There you go. There you go. And I mean, I'm a fan of that as a musician, composer, writer.
We need
Yeah.
a little bit of variety. Too many videos have the same song. And I want to get a lot more variety. Try to get the community involved. Try to showcase a couple bands. Please send in only music you own, please.
Yes, please. Yeah, we require the mechanical license for
I can
it.
sing. I can sing a little.
All right, and on
let's take
that
a
note,
break.
thanks for
Scat
watching.
for us. Come on, let's go.
Boop, boop, doop.
All right, everybody, be smart, be safe, and we might be blasting off into new territories next week, baby. Gold Squadron. Man, if we don't get it, what are we gonna talk about next week? I don't know.
Pitchforks.
Pitchfork. How to use that pitchfork the most effectively. Gold Squadron out.